Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls. I'm your host VGMKoren, and in the last one we murdered the Taurus demon and pissed off a giant dragon on a bridge. Standard fantasy stuff. We also leveled up just enough to be able to equip a new weapon, which I believe is called the Uchigatana. I'm gonna actually have to check that. There are several different... Uchigatana. There are several different katanas that all have various katana-y names. Now, you might wonder, how are you supposed to get past this dragon on a bridge? Because, well, it's a giant dragon on a bridge. And I'm going to show you several ways of doing that, and also a few special tricks. So, first of all, look at that tail. Aside from being a magnificent dragon tail, is that undead warrior going to follow me? No. You can take a bow or crossbow and shoot at the dragon tail, and if you manage to land a good 30 or so hits, it will break off and give you a weapon called the Drake Sword. This is actually an extremely powerful weapon and is considered putting Dark Souls, or at least the first half, on easy mode because of how much damage the weapon does. I won't be doing that. I won't show you actually the process of shooting it. It's a pain in the... It's a gigantic pain, is essentially the reasoning there. Oh, good. This is exactly what I need. Thankfully, our new weapon has much more reach than our previous weapon did, but these enemies can still be a pain. Second, this is one way past the dragon. And yes, you do actually have to hit the tail, and yes, that tail does have about 5 frames of animation. Good luck with that if you want to try it. Bring a good 50 or so bolts. And it's not that bad, especially if you don't murder the merchant in the beginning of the game and can buy yourself a bow. Now, the way I'm going right now is into the sewers below the castle, and is one way to get past the dragon. However, this isn't actually the way that I'm going to get past it. No, I'm going to actually do the hard way of getting past it, which is really, really ridiculous. But a lot of fun. It actually gets you access to a bonfire and later on a new covenant that can be useful to you if you like those sorts of things. So first off, whenever you come out here, get in this little corner. Immediately. He will always breathe fire at you, and it will actually give you a ton of souls if you're careful. Now, this next part is really tricky. Really, really tricky. Really absurdly tricky. Okay, I'm not actually sure I'm going to be able to do this. But essentially, wait in this corner, and eventually, Mr. Dragon's going to come down. And as soon as he walks past... Oh, no. That was wrong. That was very, very wrong. Okay. Okay. So, I lied to you. I'm sorry. I messed that timing up really bad. First death of Dark Souls, gonna be plenty more of that. Thankfully, since we dropped the ladder down, we are not going up the stairs. Literally right next to where we died. And, of course, this lets me show off another mechanic of Dark Souls. As you might have noticed, my humanity dropped back to 0. And my souls also drop to 0. This is what happens. You lose all of your gathered experience and humanity, which is brutal. But if you can get back to where you died, which is generally done by running over there, you can pick it all back up. And did I pick it? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now I'm going to do the proper timing for this time. Just have to wait. So, yeah, you can pick your souls back up. So this is a good thing. However, if you die again, you will drop all the souls and humanity you have collected that time. And from then on, you will... Oh my god, did I make it? Yes, I did. There's the proper timing for that. Immediately go for the bonfire. Because, oh god, he's going to breathe fire at me. Whew. Once you rest at the bonfire, he will fly away into the distance. So, that's how you get past the Hellkite dragon, which is what that dragon is named, by the way. And then you can pick up these great treasures if you can get through the 3-soldier onslaught, which isn't as bad as it might seem initially. You just are going to need to kill the crossbowmen first because they do more. Also, be very careful how far back you go. If you cross about a third of the way through the bridge, the Hellkite dragon will respawn and breathe fire on the bridge once more, killing you instantly, pretty much no matter how high level you are. It's a fun time. So he's actually gone too far away. I don't want to have any part of that. So I'm just going to take these. Okay. So yeah, leave once he jumps, not once he lands. I knew it was one of those timings, and I screwed it up. But, ow. That's just kind of how Dark Souls goes, is you try things and sometimes they work. Here you have these guys, sinners, begging. Murder them. Murder them always. Actually, you don't really need to murder them, but murder's fun. Need gorgeous view. Dead end. Okay, once again, I have learned my lesson. I'm going to stop reading messages. But really, this is a gorgeous view, as is most of Dark Souls. This statue right here, I believe it's that statue, is the one that you can address the Covenant at. Either that or it's this statue. It's one of these statues. I'm pretty sure it's the one on the right, though. But we'll actually be back, so I will show you that. Now, once you get across here, you can pull this lever, which will open this gate, and if I remember correctly, I do. First, let's kill this guy, just so he doesn't come up to us later. What was I saying before? Yeah, about dropping souls. So yes, if you happen to not recover your souls, you will drop the current amount of souls you have, and you will not be able to get back anything that you lost. Now, for souls, this isn't such a big deal. By the way, I'm not going to get off here, but this is the sewer where you come through, so if you come through this way, you can't actually access the bonfire. The souls aren't a big deal unless you have a ton of them hoarded away. What's a slightly bigger deal is the humanity. The humanity, for every humanity you have over 0, your drop rate increases up to 10. So if you lose all that humanity, not only can you not turn human, but you can't do it, you lower your drop rate, which is really unfortunate. This is the second Black Knight in the game, and I'm only going to try and fight this guy once, I think, because he's easily the most difficult for the exact reason that I just demonstrated, in that where you are in the game currently, you do not really have the means to fight him. I'll give it one more shot. Why not? What could possibly go wrong with trying to kill an enemy that far above my power level? Usually you can come back and kill these guys. Now, one thing worth noting is that these Black Knights will not respawn if you kill them, just like bosses. By the way, bosses won't respawn if you kill them. Oh my god, I actually need to come back up here and get my souls. So, for the first Black Knight, I actually aggroed the second soldier. Okay. Nope. We're not going to do that 2-on-1. For the first Black Knight, I do advise, generally, get down here so I can kill you, going the route of, oh, you're following me. Just stop it. I generally advise going for the whole gold pine resin route, which I'll actually do one more time because I have it. This guy, you can glitch out on the stairs like I'm doing right now. But once you run out of stairs or you get hit, things get really bad. Oh, my ring of protection actually is what saved my life here. Unfortunately, since I can't see... By the way, if you press the Estus Flask button multiple times, nope, then then you will be able to drink more than once. So we'll come back and kill that particular Black Knight later. I just wanted to show that he was there. I do recommend trying to backstab him more. Oh my god, I am so tempted to fight him one more time. Okay, you know what? I'm going to fight him one more time. I don't want to, but at the same time, I really do. This is Dark Souls, is throwing yourself up against a challenge over and over again and just trying it until you fail. That being said, do I really want this? Okay, so I want to show one more attempt at doing this. So, what you're seeing there is a backstab attack, and this is probably the best way to approach this Black Knight fight. So what you want to do is constantly circle around, and whenever he misses his shield bash, which he will try and do usually when he's in close proximity to you, you just keep turning, get around to his back, and hit him. Now, that was a hit I really didn't need to take, but it's fine. But that might kill me. No? Okay, he might actually drop on my head and kill me that way. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna get my souls, meet you back at the staircase. One slightly battered ego later, we are back at the staircase. And again, that Black Knight is another great part of Dark Souls, because part of Dark Souls, of course, again, is realizing you can't take on challenges yet and going back and fighting them later. Okay, let's see if that did not work how I wanted it to. Usually you can try and set that boar on fire, but it didn't exactly work that way. So we will be able to come back and fight. Ooh, okay. I am just making all kinds of bad decisions tonight. So, what do you do when you're surrounded in Dark Souls and you don't really have a good avenue? Is you just have to play even more defensive than you're already going to. Now, good thing about backstabs, as you just saw there, is they provide tons of invincibility frames, which even if you would get hit and killed otherwise, while you're stabbing, you can't be hit. Very important, especially for these group situations. Stop shielding. I don't like it. The entire first time I played through this game, I really didn't understand the kick mechanic, and it made me spend a lot more time than I'm willing to admit fighting these guys, because I was like, oh my god, these are the most epic duels because you had to keep your shield up for so long. And in reality, no, I'm just bad. Alright, the Alluring Skull. It's time to show another fun trick for Dark Souls. Some enemies can be lured by the Alluring Skull. Oh yes, it's quite alluring. So if you drop it on the ground, the boar will become enticed by it. And if you drop it next to a fire, the boar is supposed to set itself on fire. There it is. Set yourself on fire. Good boar. Ow. Hey, buddy. Could you not? Now, unfortunately, the boar... There were a lot of things I did wrong there. Let's go with that. I'll meet you back on top of that staircase. And with that murder complete... Ooh, that black glow you just saw was humanity. And what humanity does, of course, as I mentioned earlier, is it increases your drop rate and also just ensures, in general, that you have more options. Oh my god, no. Okay, come on now. I'm very bad at throwing those. Okay, let's do this the other way. If you have fire bombs, which you should... Oh god, I'm gonna fall. It's amazing just how many bad decisions I can make repeatedly in a row. Fire bombs are the easiest way to deal with this enemy. You might be wondering to yourself, why aren't you just smacking it? And that's because the only safe... Actually, that's not even a safe place. You can only really smack the boar in its boar hind. I'm sorry, that was a terrible behind. There, let's just pretend that I didn't try and make that joke, shall we? So, firebombs, again, are probably your best bet here if you can't get it to kill itself on the fire. And also, you might have to kite it back a long way. So, right away, Dark Souls throws a whole bunch of enemies at you that you might not exactly know how to deal with. Between the Black Knight at the top of the staircase. It does get better, kind of. Does it? No. No. But that's what makes Dark Souls so much fun. Alright. I'm going to stab this boar. It didn't work. Enemies, as you might notice, have an aggro range. And that means that if they get past the range that they want to fight you in, they will turn around and stop trying. Like this boar here. which means that when it's turned around, you can get a couple of cheap free shots in. This isn't how I like to kill enemies, but this boar is an extremely difficult opponent. Thankfully, the strong attack is not bouncing, and that kills the boar. The boar, like the Black Knights, will not respawn once it has died. Sometimes it drops a fancy boar helmet, and you get to run around boorishly. That one worked. Yeah. I'm sorry. So, that gate's been closed. The best thing you can do now is continue on. This guy is a troll. This undead will run after you, and suddenly you're ambushed by a swarm. But they're still extremely basic hollows and pose basically no threat to you whatsoever. And now they're dead. So, yes. Even if you're good at Dark Souls, you're going to die a lot. That's just kind of something you have to accept when playing the game, and something that, in my opinion, again, makes the game fun. I am so tired of games these days that just are extremely easy to beat. It's not that fun, in my opinion. Some people like easy games, and I respect that. I like dying. This mystery key is for mysterious things. I'm not sure. It'll do something useful, I'm sure. Maybe. Actually, I feel like... No, I have no idea where that key goes to. Let's see. Can I one-shot these guys with a two-handed strike? Yes. And this is another benefit of two-handing, and also of this weapon. It has fantastic reach, especially compared to many of the starting weapons, which tends to not. Alright, let's go ahead and walk out on that. And pick this up. Large Soul of a Lost Undead. I will have to remember to use those between episodes, or say I'm using them and do a massive montage of squeezing the life out of souls. Yeah, either way. So, one thing I haven't talked about a lot, actually I was just talking about this, is weapons. Weapons in this game come in a few different flavors, aside from your standard broadswords, katanas, etc. It does say something about our industry that katanas are now really just kind of a standard weapon. Oh, before I get into that though, if enemies are facing away from you, there actually is a stealth component to Dark Souls. If you're walking, they won't notice you. If you're running, they will. So, use that to get easy backstabs on new enemies. And then stab them. Maybe? Yes. Oh god. You can, in fact, guard while using a two-handed weapon. Or a weapon two-handed, I suppose I should say. That Night Shield actually might be decent. Let's check it out. However, let's see. Yes, no, it's way heavier. I already feel fat enough. So yes, as that thing said, try stealth. It's a very basic stealth mechanic. It'll only get you one or two good backstabs, but when it works, it works. Weapons in Dark Souls tend to be strength or dexterity related. The reason I'm doing a dexterity build is all the strength weapons past a certain tier are gigantic two-handed weapons that... Haha! I knew he was over there. Gigantic two-handed weapons that are extremely slow and just don't generally mesh well with my style. Thankfully, we can flinch this guy really easily. Strength weapons do a lot more damage than dexterity weapons. Dexterity weapons can hit more often. That's the trade-off. But another thing to note is that dexterity will increase the speed of spellcasting. This will be more important later, and I'll talk about it more later. Let's see. Can I really do this with one Estus Flask left? Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay. So, okay, be careful of this guy, because he will come running out of the church to engage you. And dexterity weapons, meanwhile, while strength weapons tend to get gigantic and slow, dexterity weapons tend to be like the katana and be much smaller throughout. Now, another thing that's interesting, in my opinion, is that dexterity weapons actually require much less dexterity as a general rule of thumb to use than strength weapons do. Let's see. I cannot use that. I'm not strong enough. Halberds are spears hybrids. Spear scythe hybrids, I believe, is their moveset. Regardless, the highest strength weapon in the game, I believe, costs 50 strength to use in one hand, while dexterity might be 20, which is a very big difference. It's much easier to do a hybrid dexterity build because of this reason. But hybrid strength builds can do a lot of damage, not saying anything bad about them, but if you just want to get a low amount of dexterity, it's definitely an easy way to go, especially if you want to be a hybrid caster. Of course, strength weapons also get to the point where they explode with lasers every time you swipe them. I'm not kidding. That said 50 strength weapon fires a huge explosion every time you do a two-handed attack. It's kind of great. I might actually be able to... No, there's no way I'm going to be able to demonstrate that, which is really unfortunate, and also why I'm bringing it up. There are a few weapons that require faith and intelligence to use, but mostly you get those through enhancements. What are enhancements? Well, I'll actually talk about those a little bit later. So that tends to be how your builds go. Dexterity builds tend to not always be just dex. Strength builds require a lot of strength and therefore have lower parameters, or might rely on pyromancy, since pyromancy doesn't rely on any of your stats. Once again, I'll discuss that later. And hey, there's a hammering going down there. I wonder what that could be. But if you want to see what that is, then you'll have to join me in the next one, because we're at a bonfire, and this is where I'm stopping. So, you'll find out next time who is hammering that anvil. I hope to see you then. But first, for those of you who want to see exactly how I'm going to be distributing my stat points, this part is for you. Now, I'll talk about this more in depth later, but in my opinion, the two most important stats are vitality and endurance. This is just going to be how it is. They will help you far more than this damage scaling of dexterity will. But, again, that's my opinion. I'll talk more about it later, and I hope to see you in the next one, after I confirm this reinforcement, which is really a cool way of calling things levels.